Okay guys, back on the Olds heads. The only thing I did different on the outer port was I floated at 36 inches. And when I did that and I hit it with a little dicum, we got a nice line. Very faint, but we got a nice line on this side of the guide. Notice how centered that is? I think that worked out really well. You guys let me know. Yeah, you see a little grease down by the guide because I did CC that port. Comes out to 220.5 cc's. It's downright tiny, right? Well, supposedly it was only 228 to start with, and I feel like I put a ton of epoxy in it, so I probably should have CC'd it from the start, but I didn't. I didn't CC this one from the start either. As you can see, I didn't spray enough dicum, but you can see we've got nice spread here, and we've got a light powdering on this side. It goes pretty far down into the bowl. Now, I actually ran out of epoxy on this one. This is actually like a marine epoxy. It's a different color than the good epoxy that I usually use because I ran out. So I had this JB Weld marine epoxy. I used it. It seems like it's a little squishy. It doesn't really harden really well. Then again, it may have been on my... Sorry guys, got a message on the phone. Took me off my thoughts. It's good enough to shape a port and start working on getting our airflows where they need to be. Now this chamber, I actually took this model of this chamber and moved it over here. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. Okay, looking right down its throat, you can see the blue is really traveling right down the center of that port, which is actually good news. All right, I'd rather have it flowing down the center than all the way off to the side like we usually get. You can see the epoxy work is all up and down in holes, and it seems funny though. The wall on the right, where we had 0 airspeed on the outer wall here, on this one the inner wall has 0 airspeed. Interesting, right guys? So it's the curved, whatever we got on the curved wall, right? That's this one on the right. Curved wall, 0 airspeed. I'm going to shrink that. I'm going to shrink that bowl up towards the roof, and I'm going to leave the short side nice and wide, same way I did with the last one. I'm going to put some more epoxy in this roof and maybe change the rate that it goes from the roof to the bowl. I'll probably put a little bit more in there. Let me take some solder and show you what I did on the outer, and we'll compare it to what we got so far on the inner. All right, guys, let's see if we can show you something. Let me show you this on the ground. Let's pause this. Okay, now the original may have got a little bent. I don't think it was that heavily curved, but I don't have an original port anymore. But you can get the idea of how much. Okay, something like that. Actually, if I measure between those two, I can get that pretty close to what it should look like. Okay, fairly close to where the fill is on the old port versus the new port. Now I'm going to take the new port, which is the outer, and put it on the inner and see what we got. Okay, you can see it doesn't quite touch the roof, but it's not that far off. I did put a decent amount of epoxy on that. Now, of course, this is the center of the cylinder roof that I made the solder out of. This is actually the cylinder wall side, but they're most similar to each other. Okay, that's where the lion's share of the air wants to be, because that's the straightest path out. So I would think that they should look as close as possible to each other. Okay, you guys have seen this before. This was number 6, change the chamber angle. Okay, we topped out at 344. Well, I decided to take that exact port and then test it at 36 inches of vacuum. So this is what we get. We top out at 388, where over here we were 344. And I also did our air speeds. Our air speeds are still pretty darn good, top to bottom. Take a look at our roof. Even at 36 inches, they're right on the money together. And not bad across the short side. It also it still had a slight pulsation at 500, but it seemed to get over it quicker. Now remember, it's going to have a 500-inch engine sucking on it. It may get over that with no problem at all in transition from going around the short side to windowing right out. Our swirl was hit and miss through the whole curve, and that's all we're going to talk about for that one. Okay, this is first fill on the inner. So these pluses and minuses are in reference to this last one we did when I changed the shape of the chamber on the outer. So what do we got? Plus, minus, plus, minus, 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 plus, because it didn't have the transition issue as much. And then but actually it did, because you can see the swirl, right? Now this is the same deal. Our positive swirls means it's coming off the short side. Our negative swirls means it's going across the chamber in the direction that we want. See, I wrote right angle. That's the right direction. We don't have nearly this much swirl on the outer. I think it went 1600, 16 something over here. Okay, so the swirl is a little bit different. I could fiddle with the vane, but I have a feeling the vane is in pretty good shape. I think that's going to be fairly good. I actually could straighten it up. If you look at the angle of the port, it's just a bit off from the angle of the port. You guys give me your what you think I should do with it. Because the way it's angled, right, it should actually reduce our minus swirls a touch. Okay. So we're down quite a bit as far as flow. Let's see how we did as far as air speeds. So this is our pinch on our first fill versus these on the bottom. So 240, 236, 215, 246, 196, 237. Okay, it's a different shape port. I wouldn't expect them to be correct. I didn't talk about when I changed the chamber. At least I don't think I did. But that worked out really well as far as air speeds on the roof. This one doesn't have as much fill on the roof, so I would expect a slower roof speed, and we do. As far as our short side, slower all the way around. The port also isn't moving nearly as much air. So as I make the port more efficient, we'll see higher air speeds probably everywhere. Okay, guys, give me some input on this. I've had enough today. I'm cooked. It's getting late on a Sunday, and the garage is super hot. It's 91 in here. For November, that's not good, but that was a lot of bench time, so. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.